Folks, again, we want to say welcome to another edition of my Lutheran Connections, my Lutheran Connections TV. Again, today we have with us our dear brother, brother Abel Lewilly, um, our team member, brother Jerry Tableau, there in Freetown, Sierra Leone, um, our team member in Connecticut, brother Josiah F. Jokai, and today we have the honor um, of the presence of the former president of the National Lutheran Youth Fellowship. Again, folks, we want to say thank you very much for tuning in. And those on the set, I want to say welcome and welcome to everyone. How are you all doing today?
Thank you.
Okay, good, good. So, without further waste of time, we are going to be going strictly over to our brother there in Freetown, Sierra Leone, Jerry Tableau. He's going to be coordinating our conversation today. Today, again, is going to be another, um, it's going to be another segment of a roundtable conversation, if you may call it a roundtable conversation. We're going to be speaking on other topics, but that is going to be, coordinated by our brother Tableau. He's going to give us the outline of everything that we're going to be discussing today. Brother Tableau, how are you doing? Freetown, Sierra Leone, and take it away from there, please.
Thank you very much, Willie. And I also want to extend my appreciation to colleagues on the set, my good friend and brother Josiah Joker. You've been missing for a while, but we understand the situation. We want to say thank you so much for the commitment. And I saw our brother Abel. I think maybe he may be having some technical problem. I hope he will join us again. And I want to also join you with it to say I have the honor and pleasure again to meet our former president. I think at the time I left, he was president, and now he's former president. That's a show of democracy. And he's going to tell us what it's like to be president and be former president. It's very important. But actually, tonight we're going to look at some sensitive issues, especially, that our church, the LCL, is going through a period of elections, and the process seems to be somewhat difficult as we are reaching closer to some technical issues, and we all know. But we want to get the perspectives of our panelists, that we have invited. Our former president, I understood that we will be joined by our Reverend Yakwazo. We want to get the perspective of the clergy perspective, the perspective from the youth when it comes to the issue of election situation in our church. We also want to ask them some questions, and then we all discuss. Is the LCL on the edge? What are we to do that we have not done to ensure that we have a safe pre, during, and post elections? These are some of the issues that come in on our mind, and these are some of the issues that we want to hear from them. So we want to again say welcome, and we are not going to do much of the talking, but we give our panelists the chance to give us their perspective, and then we can try to see how we can clearly, lay out to our viewers out there so they can understand, and maybe they can be able to send us their questions via our chat room or maybe through the calls. I think Woody will help us facilitate the process of the call. So we want to again say welcome to all of us on this set, most especially Mr. Jerun Jara. So we go straight to you, Mr. Jara, and then later on I will ask my colleague Jokel to come in and the rest of the guys. Yes, what is generally your perspective of the entire process so far? I mean, as a young man growing up into the fellowship as a staunch Lutheran, what are you guys saying? What do you envisage as troubling? And what is in our church, the NLYF, doing to ensure that we reduce the temperature, of these situations we see coming up? It's over to you.
Well, thank you for the opportunity, and I want to say hats up to the team of panelists. It's good to see my big brother Josiah Jokai, Abel Iwali, and Tableau, Mr. Tableau. Well, the issue of having uh free, fair, and transparent election, and what we see troubling, many a times when we meet at some of our mass gathering, especially with the national elections of our church, many a times people consider uh, the pastors to be the one causing problem and what have you. So they are saying that elections should just be among the pastors. But I'm from a different point of view that the laities are also part of the church. So why should we just limit the electoral process with the pastors? So these are things that have been discussed back and forth, back and forth. And then of recent, just with the issue with the Episcopalian election, taking into consideration, I did a small research on how that process is being conducted. There are some advantages and there are also disadvantages when it comes to the process, how it's being handled. So comparing that with our church in terms of how we handle our electoral process, from the level of the youth, it can really be tension packed because people want to see their candidate go through. Uh, they want to do all they can that candidate should win. So one thing we did in order to reduce some of the tension, like Josiah talked about, the issue of electoral process will always be the same, be it circular or in the church. The issue of transparency is very much needed. So let me just register this. Willie, I'm no longer a youth. I'm now in the men's department. Yeah. So what we did, the youthful age per our constitution is from 18 to 30 years. So once you pass that age, you are no longer a youth. So the election commission took into consideration our guideline, our constitution. So once the constitution is being respected in terms of how the process should be conducted, I don't think most of the hard feelings that we have in the church will try to go away with them. But sometimes people try to sideline with some of the proceeding or some of the rules that is being spelled out in our constitution. So at the end of the day, like for issue of pre-campaigning, some people already started 1 year ago. People started pre-campaigning. So if the rule will be the rule that you have to wait until you are qualified before canvassing, that should be something that should be considered. But people are not taking into consideration some of those things. So the rule is being, overlooked, is being banned, on. So at the end of the day, some of the hard feelings start to come up. So in terms of how do we reduce the issue of tension in our church when it comes to electoral processes, one thing I do consider is people should be fair in the process. I know at times people say, "Oh, it's not possible that someone can be 100% fair of when it comes to such thing." One, that the one I see as a breeding ground for confusion, the issue of our pension system. There are some pastors who have even passed the age of serving, but then our church is not uh, respectable when it comes to the issue of pension. So someone will say, "I still have the age, so I can still serve the church." But if these rules, our policies that we have on the book, they are being respected and being considered, some of the tension that we have or the confusion that we have will not be, that what we are experiencing. And having election is not just possible that we can leave it with the clergy. Like I said, the laity need to be involved into the process. And another thing is people should be just fair. If I'm for you, I'm supporting you, I should be fair enough to come and say that. But the level of deceit in the church is too much. So at the end of the day, people do things without remorse of conscience, and then just do what they want to do. But from the clear perspective, people should be clear, should be fair to one another. If you are for this person, go for them instead of playing double standard game. And it's with the laities and also with the clergy. Yeah. So these are things that I have seen so far from our end, in terms of serving as a breeding ground for confusion or bringing some misfeeling in the church when it comes to elections. Yeah.
All right, so thank you so much. I see we have got a full house, so we will be very, very succinct with our questions. So I think you have tried to chew a lot, and so maybe I will just swing the pendulum to one of my colleagues, so they can take it from there with other panelists. But before I leave, I want to welcome Reverend Yakpazuo. I see that you're still driving. Be careful. And be safe. And I also want to welcome fellow Moba. I think we interacted before on the set. We want to say you are most welcome again. And we are just trying to get the perspective of the clergy, from the men, and from the men youth. Jerome is in the men's department. He has just transitioned. Jerome, you have just transitioned. So please, you stay back. So you still got. Thank you, Mr. President. you still got it. Thank you for the confirmation. Yeah, you still got it. You still got the youth perspective, and that is where we want you to take it from. We congratulate you for transitioning. We know you are mayor, Mr. Jara, but we want you to please still give us the youth perspective, because we still see you interacting with them. And then we also want to, yes, I think we have recognized all of our panelists. And we want to say that you are most welcome again. So, Mr. Josiah, you can take it from there, and you can have the question going.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Ambassador. Let me just begin by asking Jerome. Jerome, I remember when Dala and the rest of the guys were transitioning. I don't know whether or not Abel was part of that team. But when they were transitioning from the youth to the men's auxiliary, it was done in the former faction where they were certificated. So I'm asking you to please display your certificate. Where is your certificate? That's my first question. Where is your certificate?
Okay, no problem. I will display it. The national men, my witness is already here. I was wholeheartedly invited or inducted into the National Men Fellowship when the national president took office. So
congratulations. that was just by the way, folks. It's really good seeing you here. It's been quite a while. So it's good to have you on. Your perspective is going to be very cardinal. Father Goliath, we also say you're most welcome. Jerome, you really navigated, a lot of important. You mentioned hard feelings. You try to talk about election in the church, how to keep it transparent, referencing, my earlier comments about transparency of elections, credibility of elections, whether or not in the secular world or in the church setting. You talk about policies influencing the way people behave during electionary periods. You talk about fairness versus deceit of the people in the church, and you also raise serious concern about that. Those are important aspects of our conversation that you've highlighted already. But let me ask you this question. You think there are any hard feelings at this point of our electioneering period? And if there are any, what exactly is the reason for the hard feeling? Just straight to the issue that causes such hard feelings. What is it?
I mean, the hard feelings, some started from the youth department up to the men's department, up to the women's department. Some basically are with the pastors. Most of the pastors, this where we have some of the hard feelings. You are on my Lutheran Connection chat room. So some of those things you have pastors, the way they used to relate to one another, they no longer relate to that. Some of them they are not speaking to one another. And if you will be a head of a congregation and then you have your colleague that you cannot speak to, and these things pops up a lot of things. So it's both with the laities and that of the pastors. So there where I came from that background. Yeah.
Okay, I got it. And that's quite important because as pastors, they have their religious responsibility, to shepherd the flocks. They also have the leadership responsibility. They are supposed to set examples for their flocks to follow, which is important. Whatever hard feeling it is in that respect, I think it will always exist in a community of people. But specifically, do you think the electoral process is on track, is well on track? And if it is on track, what are the positive things that are happening, and what are those things that you think should be tweaked a little bit so that the entire process can be well on course?
Yeah, I will answer yes and no. Somehow the process is on track, and I would say it's not also on track. It's on track. Yeah, we have gone through the process. Have started. Candidates have been screened. The timetable is not being respected all the way. Somehow it's being respected. By at least giving some hints to the audience that yes, we have, because of this, we have this shortcoming. We so and so time we'll come back to give you some information. Yeah, it happened at times, but it creates also some doubts in terms of the credibility of the or the independent decision of the commission, because I want to believe that they were giving some TOR in terms of reference, in terms of how they work and what they should do and what they should not do. But then I see them having some shift in terms of their work, that something that they should be doing now they are running out to the office of the bishop to confirm certain candidate. I don't know the candidate in question before they can come up with listing of qualified candidates. But I think I don't know whether they ever had a bill of information seeking information from the central administration. There where I see the shortcoming of the election commission, that they are not on track with that, because in terms of their work, their working tool should be the constitution. So it should not be the bishop giving order that they should happen, or this is the go ahead. You have the constitution, and I think the constitution should be respected, and what is in the constitution should be followed. So there where I see some lapses on the part of the commission. So to some extent, they are on course, but on the other end, it also creates doubts that they are now working independently, that they rely on the office of the bishop to clear out certain people before they can be considered as a qualified candidate. So it creates some doubts that they are not working independently, and there is some credibility issue, or let's say lack of transparency, as I see it.
Right. Josiah, before you continue, Josiah, look, Josiah, that question, Josiah, you stimulated something, my brother. you stimulated something. And look, Mr. Jala, let me be careful not to say Jerome, because you have transitioned now. Waiting for the certificate. But
speaking of the certificate, brother, I just have a confirmation here. If we can just scream it. He said, I'm a testimony to Jerome, because I believe he said I'm a testimony to Jerome being a man, being part of the men fellowship, because I'm his pastor. So I just want to say that someone's already working for Jerome.
Folks, this requires me to make a clarification. This requires me
Okay,
to make
but
a clarification before Jerry comes. My
Okay.
question to
yeah,
Jerome
what,
about
yeah,
the certificate was just a crack. It was
No,
a
it was a
joke.
crack. It was a
This is
crack.
not,
Yeah.
this is not Obama, Trump, birth certificate issue. I beg
Go
you
ahead.
guys, please. No,
yeah.
Jerry, you can take
Go
it.
ahead.
Jerry,
Go
you can
ahead.
take it from there.
Joe, I want to say thank you so much, and Mr. Jala, I want to say thank you so much for highlighting this. And we are as hosts, we cannot delve too much into these things because we want to ensure that our platform is a platform that is accommodative and that that pose the questions. But it's good that you raised this. And I was kind of thinking, and I hope that Reverend Yakpazo could come back, so we can pivot to him so that he can be
He's
able
coming.
to
He's
also
coming.
share his perspective on this. Because I was thinking on this, and Josiah, Abel, I was also thinking on this. You got your TOR. You got all of the different guidelines. You set a guideline. And then people protest. You got a way of trying to see how you could be able to deal with that issue. But I was shocked, and if I should say flabbergasted, to have heard that the EC have written to get confirmation on a particular issue that they should be able to resolve. It is, and now that Jerome is confirming, it is not the platform. So we now can safely go into that discussion, because I didn't want to start giving disclaimer here, because I want for people to see our platform at that standard that we started, and we cannot level or lower the bell. But the panelists have said that. Father Benayon.
Right. We have the men's president. We have the men's president. So maybe we can have the men's president to come in too. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
I need to come back to Jerome before we go to Father Goliath. So Jerome.
Okay.
Okay, the Father Goliath. Okay, then Father Goliath, you could hold that question, but we'll just ask it, and then maybe Josiah will just throw everything to you after he's done with Jerome. But the election commission or the EC has its TOR. So why they should seek confirmation or clarity from the office of the bishop before proceeding? Why? So right. Josiah, is back to you, and then after Jerome, then the Father, you could please also note that, so you can also answer that as part of the questions that will be given to you by other colleagues on the set.
Right. I'm really, really happy to be on this show today, because the discussion is about an issue that has to do with my specification, elections management. And I will shed some light on this angle. Probably that will be helpful for every one of us. We have Article 52C of the Liberian Constitution that talks about the presidential qualification clause, being in a country for 10 years. To qualify you to register as an applicant, to become a candidate. However, when we go to elections in Liberia, the Elections Commission refers to the Supreme Court for interpretation before it can act on that clause. So when you are an electoral management body, ad hoc, or independently established, there are bodies that you work with that support. There are supporting units that support your efforts. For the Elections Commission, you have institutions like the legislature that go to adjust election laws, the statutes, or make new ones to support their efforts. They go to the Supreme Court for interpretation of aspects of the Constitution that have bearing on their work. So the Elections Commission has to go to the Supreme Court for that interpretation. We did that before, so that the Supreme Court can provide the advice to the Commission. And what it did was to relax that portion, to be able to incorporate all the others, accommodate all of the other candidates. And they did that so that, because the Constitution doesn't say 10 years consecutively. And so the Supreme Court said you cannot hold anybody, you cannot stop anybody on the basis of that, because of that ambiguity in the Constitution. So that's a room for revision. So this committee, election committee, first we need to understand, is an ad hoc committee. Businesses that were put before the convention, this committee does not have jurisdiction. This committee cannot even go to the bishop's office. But the reason why this committee went to the bishop office in this case is because the case in point was before the convention, the last convention. The convention took jurisdiction of the case. The ad hoc committee cannot navigate or take the responsibility of a matter that was unresolved by the past commission. That matter was before the convention, and the convention referred that matter to another unit. And that
The
unit,
PMTE. The
the
PMTE.
PMTE did not resolve the matter.
Right.
So the protest is directly on the basis of that. The committee, as an ad hoc committee, cannot take jurisdiction of a matter that was already being looked into by the convention. So the committee, from my understanding, is that the committee did not ask the bishop to give her opinion. The committee requested the bishop to ensure that the legal team, the legally established body, the legal team of the church, the LCL,
The
to
legal
look
committee.
into the matter and advise the committee. So in that case, the legal team was acting as the Supreme Court to advise the committee, which is the right approach. The committee could not judge or rule over that matter by all means because she doesn't have jurisdiction. She can only rely on the position of the legal committee of the church. She can only act upon that. The other thing I wanted to say is that when you develop your timelines and you develop your timetable, they are flexible because they are regulations, guidelines that you develop, and you have that responsibility to go back and make adjustments in those timelines based on unfolding situations. And a classic example is what we have. So the best thing the committee did was not to leave everybody in doubt, but to inform everybody about the adjustment on the basis of the protest. Had the protest been particularly on a case that the committee had jurisdiction over, they wouldn't have referred that to the legal team. And the committee could not communicate directly with the legal team. The committee had to ask the office of the bishop to refer the matter to the legal team because it was the convention that was presiding over the matter. So that's how come the bishop office had to officially communicate with the legal team to look into the matter and provide the findings to the office of the bishop, and the office of the bishop will present the findings to the committee. So I wanted to provide a clarification so that this doesn't become a tricky situation that will further inflame whatever hard feelings we have or negative thought or perceptions about the electoral process. It's very important for us to understand the nitty-gritty before proceeding. And what's happening is normal in every electoral jurisdiction. These adjustments take place, but they should take place with the acquiescence of the body, all of the stakeholders. It has to be effectively communicated so that people understand there are no conflicts, there are no ambiguities. There is complete clarity in the communication of the happenings. So I thought we provide that clarity before we proceed.
And this is one of the reasons why this platform remains the premier, and I'm tempted to use the word supreme platform in our community. Okay, everyone on this platform, all of the panelists come with different pieces, so many pieces that we come together and put this puzzle together to have this Lutheran Connection platform. And we couldn't have had anyone other better than the group of folks that we have here, talking about B. Abel Lewilly, talking about the Ambassador Jerry Tableau, and talking about the brilliant Josiah F. Jokai Jr. So again, folks, we want to say thank you very much again for tuning in. We ask you to please keep sharing the program. Go to Lutheran Connection and share the program. And also, we ask you to please send in your comments, and we're going to have time to call in. So we're going to go back to our lead coordinator for today, who is Brother Jerry Tableau, all the way there in Sierra Leone, and he's going to be taking over from here. Thank you so much for that clarification, Brother Jokai.
Josiah, thank you for the clarity. And I see a lot of people in the comment section really, really grateful for the information you have given, including myself. I'm very happy for the clarity that you've given, and now it's something that we can look at. Reverend Yakwazo, we want to say welcome again. What is your perspective as it relates to the clergy? I mean, what is your perspective on this whole electioneering process that the LCL is currently going through? Are we at the edge? Do we see impending danger? If so, what can we do to reverse the situation?
Well, let me say thank you to all of you. I hope you guys can hear me well.
We can hear you well, Reverend.
I come from two different services today, and come from talking about the gospel according to Mark 6:27-38. Love your enemies and do good to those who hate you. That's why Jesus left for us today. And Joseph in the Old Testament, according to Genesis, told his brothers, I am the same one you saw, but here I am, and I'm going to open up my arms to you. So let me leave you with the message before I proceed further. So, and then I'm going to tell you also, you see my names are written longer like this because I don't like to have problem with any of the congregations that I serve. So from the Good Shepherd people, the Lila is in the middle to tell them I still identify with them. From the St. Andrew people, the HPRC is at the end, so they know that I'm still the head pastor in charge anywhere, any day, anytime. So just the fact that I finished identifying myself with my people, let me proceed to the question I was just asked. The clergy at the level of the Lutheran Church in Liberia, I say without any fear, is a very serious issue, very serious problem to electionary process in our church. Unfortunately, the reason why all the noise we make most of the time, we don't end up as winners because we are in the minority. The deacons are even more than us. So even when we make some noise, when we get to these elections, we are not fair to ourselves. And because we're not fair to ourselves, we are not even fair to the people we lead. And I know most of you may not know, and I personally think that, after all the noise, the good thing I know about us, unless they have changed over the short period of time that I've not been there. But the good thing I know about us, at the end of the day, we will surely come back and appeal to one another and apologize to one another, especially when we have a winner after the election. We either apologize to the winner and tell the winner, don't mind me. I was doing all of that because I just wanted to make sure the person I was supporting wins. But we are good to go, and we can go from there. But so don't mind us. Don't see everything that is going on like this and think we got some huge division. We lash at one another, but don't take us for serious on that. At the end of the day, we will surely apologize to one another. Especially, I tell you, the best time to see us is on Sunday morning after the election on Saturday when we put on our white robes and our red stoles. You will tell the unity among us, and you will not see that division anymore. And we will work with whoever that will be elected to move our church forward. I know before before the second turning of Bishop Siankolo, we met in Tototab. Now you see the pastors are about to go to CEP. It's not a strange thing. It's a normal thing. We normally go to our continuing education for pastors before conventions, and it's intended for us to talk about some of these charged political issues around there, so that people can get to easily know what side people on, what side people not supporting and stuff like that. And I know at one of those conventions, we didn't in any way turn to take the lay people away from this stuff. But what we thought was to reduce all of the tension, come up with a single candidate that will put out to election and tell the people, because all of you on this platform will agree with me that there's none of you here that can be a bishop. Only me, if I wanted to be bishop, among all of you sitting here, only me can be bishop as per the constitution of the LCL. So Josiah, Willie Cowboy, Jerry, Father Mulba here, and Jerome, unless Jerome decide to jump, but I the only person here at that qualification as per being pastor on this life. If I wanted to be bishop, to be bishop. So we agree that look, only a pastor can be bishop. And if we were to come together in unity and put up a single candidate to the convention and tell the convention, this is what the pastor brought to you, especially if we make our decision in-house and come out, the convention can tell us, say, no, you got to go bring a candidate. We made that decision before. I chaired that committee. We came up with different policy statements, with different memorandums that people had to sign even before getting into the process, and commit themselves to the process as pastors to say, we will, if we don't win in-house here, if we don't win among the pastors here, we will not come out. We will accept the result and we'll live accordingly. We were there. And as Pastor Jeremiah Wolokoli, he was on my committee. That committee went to work. Even Bishop Jensen himself, the bishop, as big he was, sitting bishop, he signed that paper on grounds that if that election has gone on and he lost, he was going to be held to account and he would not show up to the election as sitting bishop. And he's not going to tell anybody I got defeated in-house among the pastors. He's not going to tell them I am not contesting. We went to the process. The two candidates we had were Bishop Jensen Siankolo and Victor Padmo in a small room at Totota with over 50-some more pastors, close to 60. The late Bishop Harris was there. People who were seen, one of them was Dede Colley. Few people left the room. The rest of us stayed there as pastor and voted. Reverend Victor Padmo got up and nominated himself. All the guys you see around here were in that room. I don't, my papa, them, Pastor P, and all those people were in that room. We went to the election, and Bishop Siankolo won. And then there was this memorandum was signed already that whoever wins is the person we, the pastors, at the basis of unity, would take to the convention in Phoebe. And then when we turned up to the convention, we were thrown to the lay people, like Jerome and myself. I was Jerome pastor then. I almost lifted him in one of the corners because they told the lay people that we don't want them to be part of the church anymore. And we have gone and decided, and that was not our motive. Our motive was to cut down this same crisis that the lay people talking about today among pastors, can speak to pastor, can do this. We thought to wash our dirty clothes behind the scene. And when we come to the public, we will be seen all in our white robes. But it did not work out. We still put up two candidates to that election, and one won and one lost. And after that, we became friends. So let me say to all of you quickly, we will be friends after the election, and we will support the person who will win. I believe strongly that about the pastors. Yeah.
Reverend?
Josiah.
Yeah. I really appreciate you digging deeper into some of the things that happen behind the scenes, during the very election year you talk about. That is quite important to give us a perspective for our conversation that we're having. But you see, when you indicated that none of us on this platform can be bishop except you, we agree totally. And that is exactly our concern. None of us can be bishop. Only somebody from amongst you, the clergy, can be bishop. So what is the problem? What exactly is the problem? Why is the bishop office becoming so attractive that it has to be heavily contested, that we have to have several candidates going for this office? What is the attraction? Isn't this supposed to be about scriptures? What the scriptures say about the responsibility of the bishop? Isn't this about just providing the kind of servant leadership that is required, why this is being so heavily contested and people get at each other's throat when you are supposed to be clergy people, when you are supposed to be pastors, setting good examples for us. So what is the secret? Do you mind telling us what exactly is responsible for this?
Just Josiah, you know the question you asked me. Somebody asked me the same question. A Liberian, a very renowned Liberian, when I was leaving the second congregation I went to, and said, "Pastor, so what can we do to reduce the tension now?" You know, I was making some joke with them. I said, you know, they realistically, and I stand to be corrected, but the Lutheran communion in Liberia stands to be the oldest, one of the oldest Lutheran communion on the continent or Africa. So so I stand to be corrected with that.
Yeah, you're correct. You are correct, Reverend.
With it doesn't take us anything. You know, one of the things I've always said to people, and I had a discussion before with Bishop Siankolo, and I was saying it will not take us anything to have an archbishop or the Lutheran Church in Liberia. We just need to put it. Our constitution needs some reform. You know, all those people we got over there call themselves deans are all bishops in technically. It's just that the nomenclature of dean being referred to them don't make them see themselves as bishop. But when we gradually do some constitutional reform as a church and put ourselves in a position like the Catholic Church of Liberia and make sure, because where we have as districts, they are all dioceses. And we have those places to elect their own bishop, and they should take some of the power away from the bishop. Instead of appointing deans, those communities, those churches, those environments elect their own local bishop. So, for example, Morovia District elects her own bishop. Lower Bond District elects her own bishop. Find a way to empower those places that allow them to have their separate bishop. Oh, because we're in contemporary time, if people still want to see the church, you know that I told somebody one day, I said, when you see St. Peter Lutheran Church and think the choir stays will be in the back singing, that 1840 design there. We need to have a St. Peter's today where you can have the choir in the front and singing, and the pastor know exactly who's doing the lead and who's not doing the lead. So if you think that we're still supposed to have one bishop in this age and time and have the rest of the other people with the level of ambition that is in the church today, and have the rest of the other people just be, you know, regular pastors and deans, we'll continue to have some problem. We need to go, you know, gearing towards empowering our local districts, changing our constitution to absorb those people, and changing some of the nomenclature from deans to bishop, and allowing them to run their districts by themselves and report to an archbishop. And then you will see that some of these tension at the level of this one local, of this one national bishop will reduce greatly. That's just some of the issues. A lot of educated people, you can't have all of them honor you. So now you got to let them go. Look, my man, you know, even if you run a church, in church administration, when you train people and educate the people, you can't still have all of them honor you, calling you daddy. You got to send them to go plan their own churches, and they got to go by themselves. Other people got to start reporting to them. So until we get to the point where the Lutheran Church will change, our constitution needs to be looked at thoroughly and change. All the five people you get running here today, some of them were in their own local district as bishop and carrying their own shepherd role, get their own morale. You will not see them in the national election. They will not bother to be there. They will be comfortable with being in their very local and carrying the shepherd role, and the people giving them the respect they want. And when you talk about, I want Kerry to be archbishop, most of them will tell you, no, I'm okay to where I am. And what it costs. So we just need to reduce, you know, the sender power. That's why I think.
Reverend, let me take this shot at Father Golian, and then we'll come to you, Jerry, please. I know you have other stuff you want to chip in, but Reverend, I thought that was a good perspective. You talk about the centralized power system that we have in the church. In short, you know, I have no better way of describing it, but that's a centralized power theory you were just discussing, and to undo that, you were trying to propose the decentralization measure wherein we can have a devolution of power. Districts can have authorities to manage their own activities, and they can have a reporting mechanism in place, like other church denominations have it going. But Father Goliath, let me come to you a little bit. You are strategically situated, as the president of the National Men's Auxiliary in the church. You are indeed a stakeholder in this process. Your voice should really matter. I don't know if that is the case now. You will have the opportunity to tell us exactly where you guys stand, as a men auxiliary and a powerful auxiliary in the church. But how critical is the decentralization of the structure of the church and leadership in the church important to dealing with some of these politically charged electioneering processes? How is that helpful in a process? Say, if the church chose to do constitutional reform after the election, making sure that power is devolved in a way that all of you, as auxiliaries, as departments, as districts, and everybody have some degree of responsibility to do in keeping with the Constitution, and not everything centralized at the central office or the National Executive Committee. How helpful would that be to reduce some of these election tensions, where everyone see their role as relevant, in the church administration and management of the church? Father Goliath, are you there?
He's on mute. Father Goliath, if you
Yeah.
go ahead.
Hello.
Yeah, go ahead.
Can you hear
go
me?
ahead. We watch you. Yeah.
Okay. I didn't get Joe very well because he came in crackling, but
okay, the network.
I want to see
The network.
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, no way it's bad. Yeah, I can hear you.
Very good. I was talking about the importance of the devolution of power, decentralization, in a way that districts can have their own, leadership structures that can manage with some independence and also have reporting procedures. How can that be helpful in seeing people value their own contribution to the management of the church, to the growth of the church, and how can that reduce some of the tensions that we experienced during the electioneering period for bishop of the church?
You see, came in crackling, but I just got one or two words. So you talk about I don't know if I'm right if you say you talk about decentralization.
Yes,
Did
in
you
the
say that?
in the words of Reverend Yakwazuo, yeah, he put it beautifully. He talked about centralized.
Okay. Yes. Okay. So
Yes.
yeah. Okay. I think that's a good point. Um, when you make mention of that, uh, it's something that we could all look at. But from my point, um, I stand to be corrected. Don't get me wrong, but I think the church hasn't reached that stage. When I say that, I mean even at the various districts in the church,
Mhm.
the various districts are not up to this level. If you talk about support, only Morel district so far has something in place. Morel district is a district that everybody looks up to. All right. So if you talk about structure, with regards to the various auxiliaries being functional, is having only Morel district, right? We a classical example is like the lower bone. We took over and there was no structure. We tried to go there, and it's just quite recently that I did say, "Oh yes, we're trying to do this." So if that will happen, it could mean well if they are, quote unquote, empowered. And I don't know how they will get that, but my idea of the Lutheran Church is that we begin to strengthen these various districts um, by the church doing encouraging the districts to begin to do some investments, because that will have to be something that will begin now, and maybe 2, 3 years, 5 years down, 5, 10 years down the line, maybe we can think on something like that. But quite frankly, if you have them like that, these are churches or parishes and districts that are supposed to pay quota to the Lutheran Church, to the LCL. Mind you, if you check the record, maybe there are just 2 or 3 parishes that have paid. 2, 3 years back, they have not paid a cent. So if you look at if you look at it, yes, probably because I'll be at lower bone or upper bone, I become a bishop there. Yeah, but I mean, how sustainable would that be? We have to do it maybe gradually, like I'm saying, it will happen, but it has to happen over time that both become strengthened and sustainable. Then you can say that. But as is for now, no. You do it, the whole thing might just crumble. That's my own experience. That's what I think, rather. So, considering why the bishop office has to be contacted in terms of what has happened based on the God that we are receiving. All right. Uh, Joe came to it. He addressed it. I think I like the way he said it, because this is something that the election commission is not cloth with authority, to say, hey, you have said this and this is it. So it's only good to go back to the bishop, and then from the way I see, I think bishop has even called an emergency pastoral fellowship meeting.
Oh, his
For,
network right there.
Oh wow.
yeah.
Yeah.
Right there.
Oh wow.
All right,
Joseph,
folks. Sorry.
Yeah.
Our guest is having a little trouble when it comes to connection, but we are going to proceed with the program. We still have two of our guests here with us. We are having this roundtable conversation regarding the elections, the Lutheran Church in Liberia, ensuing election that is slated for scheduled to take place in April of this year, 2022. Um, Again, we have our guest, brother James Jala, Jarun Jala, and the Reverend Yap as well. Um, brother Jared Tablo and brother Josiah Joker, they are in controls for today. And we have a question on until we can get brother Father Gulayan back. We have a question on here, guys. Can we just put up the question and see if we can address that? All right, I see brother Gulayan is here, so can we just have him complete? Then we come up with a question.
Can you hear me?
Sure. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
go ahead. Now we can hear you.
So yeah, sorry again, I dropped off. The network was just too bad. Okay. So like I was saying, so because of that, our pastors, I mean, I tell them they are actually at fault for the Lutheran Church to be in the situation, the state in which we are now. I blame them, and they themselves know it. They know it. They know they are responsible for this. Like Zesta was saying, Reverend was saying, Reverend among us is the only person that can become bishop. So you and I can only support him as laities. So I was one of those that had the idea that look, let's allow the pastor, let tell the pastor to go back into that own meeting, and then come with 1 or 2 persons that they can bring to us, and then we can vote. Because the more they are, and the more they are, the more animosity and hatred they breed into the LCL. Uh, a pastor with this who sees you or Joker as supporter of Goliath or Reverend Goliath, and then he feels that you didn't support him, you become his enemy. I mean, that's just it. When he wins, or even he doesn't win, he always sees you as that. He blacklists you now. You're not you because you didn't support him. That's what he thinks. So with that, the church will keep disintegrating more and more. So I told them, look, leave with me, Goliath alone. I would just say, look, all it is stay away. The pastor will go to work. And the 20, they will still have election and for 1 person, and that will be it. I said, even though Some people argue, and but I think the pastors should just be objective, and look among themselves. Because they look among themselves, they know among themselves, they know the very people that are contesting now. Some of them, they can say, no, that man, that woman, no, we can't take her. But uh, if at all you have something strong, some documents that you say, look, yeah, 20% wanted a position today, but we are only taking one. And that one person you took, you brought that person to the group and told the lady, look, this is our bishop. We all come back and say, okay, we'll support the bishop and we'll move forward from there. So that is another way that the church will become stronger, you know. But they all said by like the idea that it's so helpless, and then leaving it with us. So when our friends, other ladies get up and say, yeah, they will be canvassing for people all over the place. They don't just canvass to say, look, vote for my candidate, this is the best. They go to the point of destroying others. You know, they will tell you some things that you will not even believe that is about that pastor. And today we just concluded a Morel District convention. I told them, these were our pastors. They will always be our pastors. We are their laities. We'll always be their laities, except we decide to go to school, to go to seminary, and then come from there. But the idea that mutual respect should be there. But because I want my brother or my sister or my good friend to become the bishop, a joker is going, I go there and tell the thing that is by far, 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 far away from Joker and say he's like this, he has done this, but only heaven can come to rescue Joker from there. But I've already defamed him, I already murdered him. So I mean, he becomes the bishop. Somebody will say, I got proof you can do that. Am I? You in Liberia won't say we got proof, we got nothing. When I always say we got proof, we got nothing. I got proof, I can prove it. But the place I will talk it, the damage would have been done to him before fighting hard to clean himself. By that time, the is what we experienced in the LCL. Yeah. So I think the thing we need to do, I mean, is to urge them, encourage them. I was talking to one of the aspirants today. She gave me lift. So I told her, I said, madam, you both, you the pastors, need to go back. The pastoral fellowship that has been reconvened, the emergency one, when you get there, decide what you want. Be objective. Nobody should sit there and be helpless and feel helpless. That look, yeah, I mean, anything that happened, that's it. So you come from there now, you are the pastors, you damage the church. We as ladies sit and look on, then say, oh, so I believe, I understand that St. Peter, in fact, St. Peter, the population, you got lesser and lesser attendance each Sunday. There's something wrong that we should begin to ask ourselves. Other churches you go to, other Lutheran congregations, parishes, people start staying away and they are not your own. No. So I think it's about time that, like he said, the situation with Joseph, though his brothers sold him to Egypt, when he got there and he held on to the helm of power, Joseph said, no, this is the doing of God. So I think I need to forgive these guys and then become like what I told them before. So Joseph accepted them. So if you have a pastor who has taught us and preached to us all these years, and then that, look, this is what should be. This day comes and he says, no, if I can't get it, nobody can get it. And they go about, destroying one another, breaking each other down. I mean, truly, I mean, I can't tell you here, but I know people that are running campaign, they murder each other so much. And it's not the right thing. So if I murder this man, he takes over, then when does he come back to convince you or that he's not like this? So I mean, those are points. But first and just to sum the whole thing up, our church will need to do more in terms of sustainability. All right. When you are talking about people becoming the various districts, or maybe the region that you have, maybe the southeast will have a bishop, the central region have a bishop, North Central region, one bishop, like that. It's good. But how sustainable is that? If you truly, Monrovia district is the largest and strongest district. That's just it. So we should not be this way. So you go to convention when Morocco are speaking, especially St. Peter, when people get offended, why was St. Peter say this? I say, but St. Peter is the one that had actually shown that they are strong. You see, then they come here when they are talking, people want to listen because they have put themselves there beside being the first church, but they have put themselves in that position. So I mean, not to condemn them, but if I leave, I'm a parishioner of St. Matthew's. St. Matthew here is the biggest church now, and we compete with St. Peter. So seriously, but if I should go up and I'm talking, there's all that guy from St. Matthew. Oh yeah, that they put it from Monrovia. Sometimes you just talking, and it means nothing. But if the hinterland, the North Central region is so sustainable and empowered, when I'm talking, they will listen to the sense that I will make. They will not just be going from Monrovia. They will listen to the sense that I will make. But as is, and I'm from Monrovia now, you all know, you all know, those years that you people from Monrovia went up in children, we sat there with our mouths open and listened to whether they were saying the truth or they were lying, where they were like they from heaven. That's the kind of situation. So I think that we should begin to, redirect the church, to redirect the church. Thank you.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. So, Cope, wait, before you come up with your follow-up questions, maybe we'll need to announce, the time maybe for you to put up the messages on the screen, especially those concerns and the numbers, so that our viewers can call if they are, waiting to call, and then the comments can be placed so that at least we can be able to have our panelists responding to them, because we got to be also mindful of time, and in Liberia is a little late, so that at least they can be able to go. So before you can give your follow-up question to Reverend Yakwazo, I will just want to say that Father Moba, you are extremely right. The reform process that Reverend Yakwazo was talking about has to go into a real deeper thinking. That's just devolution of power, but with decentralization itself got 3 stages. And all of those stages will have to be followed, not just 1 year, 2 years, or 5 years. It has to go through the process. I was angered at a commission called the Governance Commission. Our whole process was about decentralization. Up to now, Liberia is still going through, the whole country is still going through a process of devolution. And we have not got to decentralization yet. Then we got to also take into consideration the realities of the Episcopal Church, the Catholic Church, vis-a-vis the Lutheran Church. Though we all came from the Universal Church, but we got our own realities, and we got to look at that to see what is diffusible. You understand? And that's that. Then we can be able to diffuse them. So this is something that I think we can look at. But Witty, I want you now to give your follow-up to, if Josiah has nothing to say to Reverend Yakwazo, then we can start putting up the questions from the comments and recognizing our viewers, because I think they really want the questions to be answered. And if we got people to call, they can call in. Witty.
Yes, Jerry, you are quite right, Jerry. And I just wanted to chip in just before Willie comes in on the issue of decentralization. And I'm sure Reverend Yakwazo was making this point in the spirit of a post-election discussion, going forward in the church. I also like to reference the 2 important stages of our church, the mission church. And I think Reverend Yakwazo can talk about that much. The mission church, we are no longer in that state. The operation of church no longer depends on other external structures and support, like the ELCA, the World Services, the Lutheran World Services, and other structures that immensely supported the operation of the church. And they actually had influence in the way the church operated in Liberia in terms of support in every respect, moral, humanitarian, financial. They did everything for the church. We were well off. We are now in the national stage, and this is the national church. And I think a conversation of that nature should start evolving, because if we are going to operate independent of those external structures in terms of mobilizing the resources and running the church the way it should run, providing all of the services in addition to the scriptures, then there is a need to take a real look at the structure of the church, its organization, and everything. This is an important conversation going forward. Probably the next leadership of the church can begin to look at this in a structural form. I just wanted to add that to all of the perspective shared by Father Goliath and Reverend Yap as well. So, Willie, probably you can come in with your question and the information we get from the viewers.
Yeah. Before I come in with the question, I just want to add a little add a comment to the perspective from Reverend Yakwazo, Brother Jala, and Father Goloyan. I mean, this is not actually to look down or paint negative, paint a negative image on our pastors, but the progress of our church, that our church should move forward, even in the process, in the phase of decentralization, making more. I mean, being an innovative church. The pastors will actually have to we'll have to do some deep thinking, because even with the suggestion from Brother Reverend Yakwazo, and that's where my question is going to come from. The same very pastors, okay, the pastors went into a meeting, information provided by Reverend Yakwazo, and it is not that he is only just a pastor, but he served on that committee. The committee agreed. So let's take this as in the case of the Catholic Church, where you have the College of Cardinals. They go together, the cardinals, they go together and elect, or the bishop. Okay. If all of the pastors, excluding the laity, they can get together and agree and sign a document and say, look, we're going to elect one person from here and present this person to the convention, so that the convention can endorse our appointment or the person that we've elected to head the church. If that agreement cannot hold, how do we see the, like having sub bishops or archbishops or, bishop in these various dioceses or these districts? How do we see that happening? I mean, it's actually kind of troubling, that, and this, if I did not know anything about this information, because this is something that a lot of us have been talking, saying that the pastor should just get together, select one person. But with this recent development, from Reverend Yakwazo, I mean, it got me kind of scared that if the pastors can go together in one room and agree and say, we agree, we elected one person, we all agree, we signed. Yet instead they went to convention, refused to agree. So, I mean, Reverend Yakwazo, I mean, I'm actually confused by this. Judging from what had happened in the past, and the suggestion that you're coming up with, that we can have, maybe you think that will help the church. We can have sub bishops. Then we have in the case of the Catholic Church, we have sub bishops in the various districts or dioceses. Then we have the archbishop or the head bishop. Okay, that will help give them some authority in their local areas. If in the past it did not happen, what guarantee do we have that the pastors, like in the future, that is going to happen? I mean, I'm actually confused, to be honest with you, Reverend Yakwazo.
Hey, so Willie, Mr. Cowboy, thank you again. I listened to Father Golian, and you know, the Lutheran Church in Liberia, and I said this aggressively. All of us on this platform, including our father here, we have to understand the dispensation we're in. And we have to understand at what speed and aggression the people we are older than and the people who are at our age are moving on to. And the sooner we also realize that the life we live, life is a risk, we will not do anything. Look, let me tell you something. When I took over Good Shepherd Lutheran Church as their pastor, and any of them listening to me will bear me witness of that. They were regular Lutheran people. They understand me. They were regular Lutheran people who thought that many things will have to wait for certain time before it takes effect. I had to tell them with this time and dispensation, my people, you got to think out of that box. You got to think you got to think then that way of ever since Lutheran people to current Lutheran people. And the first thing they told me was that pastor will look for land. Or I'm saying anybody from Good Shepherd, including the council chairperson, Madam Marlena Guzek, and bear me witness, if we look for land anywhere in this Bushwa Island, we'll not find it to buy. And if we buy any land here, we'll have issues. I told them I will find the land here, I will buy the land here, I will begin a church here. The church you see that they worship in today, ask them. I found a land with the support of those who are willing to work with me. We bought a land there with those who are willing to work with me. We started a church there that is at that level today. In life, there must be risks taken. If the Lutheran Church will have to do the issue of power sharing or do the issue of decentralizing issue, we will not always wait to think that those districts must show us that they got money before we start. Because the first thing, let me tell you something about our church. Our church holds back the money, and Jerome will agree with me on that, because a lot of people believe that the central office demands a lot. So because they think that the central office demands a lot, they come and they believe that the people in Monrovia district benefits more from whatever the central office is demanding than the rest of the other district. So the rest of the other district comes to convention, goes to other places, and refuse to show that they got money. But if we tell those districts, empower them in a way that, look, for example, Bond District, Lower Lofa District, the guys will make their farms. They will know that the money is not going anywhere. The money is being used to develop their district. The first thing they will do, they will find themselves in competition. They will start building guest house to rent, to make money from, to sustain the office of their local bishop. Because they will know that is fully reliance on them. The central office will not be sending them money to take care of their local bishop. And they will do all in their powers to ensure that that local bishop is held up to the tax. That when he or she comes to a general convention, that bishop is represented. But if we think that those local districts should keep wiring their support to Monrovia at the seat of the bishop or central office, it's going to let Father Golian tell me what convention like this coming LCR convention we're going to. I bet you there will be no, even the Southeastern district will get it, will say you have not paid your quota, you're not going to vote, they will pay. They will pay, will fall. If we end from the bishop mouth, they will pay. If we end from the general secretary, will pay. So all those people need is for us to empower them and tell them. And I'm telling you, trust me, I know of some of our candidates that will go in this current bishop race. If we're just to have a local bishop and tell them, go and run in your local district, they would prefer to be there forever and never see them at the level of archbishop. You call them and go and beg them for them before they need it, will tell you, I am all right where I am. I'm not coming anywhere. I don't want to be anywhere, because they themselves have the opportunity in their local districts to raise up the shepherd role and walk behind the people and do what they're supposed to do and have their own money. So until we can reach out, and we need to take the risk. And when we decide to take the risk, we should start with those. We should start with those places that we think don't have money, and encourage them. Conduct those leadership seminars, those empowerment seminars, to tell them these are things that you can make some money out of to be able to sustain your local district. But if we think that, we still want to keep them in that age and time of telling them, oh, you got to rely on Morovia, they're not going to be willing to do anything, my brother. I'm telling you, I know the potential of the Lutheran Church in Liberia for the time I served. I know how much great things people can do, but you need to push them on their own. And I tell you why I learned all these things. You know what? When I became pastor in the Lutheran Church, I was ordained to go and work with a pastor. The pastor I was going to work with died before we left the convention. They sent me to the congregation, and the letter I got from the late Bishop Harry was that technically you are on your own now. You don't understand anything, that you got to manage it by yourself. So I did not rely on anybody, because I was in the middle of nowhere. So I had to physically meet up to the challenge and say, well, what are liturgy, certain part of liturgy I understand, or certain part of the funeral procedure I understand, or somebody die and I got to figure out what to do. And I had to fit in. Let me tell you something. Let me tell you this very funny story. Exactly. Let me tell you this very funny story. My first funeral service was the mother of the mother of Reverend Moba Zizi. Reverend Moba Zizi's mother died. We had the funeral at Barnaville. I was her pastor. And then we arrived at the grave. I called all the big brothers. I said, I lost. I can't find my way to get to the grave. Not only, actually, I have not found where to even know where to start a funeral procedure for the hour on my own. And the guys told me, the guy said, Pastor, you can lose for now the judgment that we are waiting for you here. This is your day, but we cannot do anything here until you arrive here. so I finally found my way to the grave. Ask this funny story. Ask all of them. Reverend Moba, Reverend Pakala, all of them, they were standing there waiting for me, because Pakala was BA at the time. When I got there, they said, Pastor, we did everything. We help you in the church, but here now we can't do otherwise. It's you. And I started flipping the pages of the book. Until Pakala told me, say, Pastor, I will start and you will follow after me. So anyway, I start, just be ready. And that was how I got saved. At that moment, at that time. So people in life need to, and that's my upbringing. People in life need to take risks. And I'm a better pastor today because I have been faced with the challenges, and I've managed to get myself to understand that you just got to face it and go. Thank you.
Reverend,
I'll let him make a point.
I will be coming to we will let you guys come in, Jerome and Father Golian. But Jerome, I have a question for you. Before then, let me just add that Willie raised an important point, since it didn't happen before when they attempted to do it. How possible is it to happen? One thing we need to take cognizance of is the fact that Reverend Yakwazo and his colleagues were just having a gentleman agreement. It was not a commitment in the context of any legal arrangement, legal instrument, like a constitution, or a set of guidelines or regulations that they were obliged to follow. So what's going to be different is to have contemporary thinking generation like ours.
Josiah.
Be able to initiate.
Josiah.
Yes.
Josiah, I will want to interrupt you, because Reverend is introducing a new concept that we need to get him back on the platform exclusively to discuss this whole decentralization stuff. So I don't want you to start getting.
I agree with you, Brother Tablo. We need to invite the Reverend.
These are the kind of innovation. These are the kind of innovation we're looking for. And I see Reverend Yakwazo is passionate about it, and I see he has aggressive about it, and he putting in some from comedy. And it's funny, but it's very serious. So we need to call him back so that he can be able, let us start discussing this concept. Let us start discussing this revolution and see how we can be able to get it rooted in people's. I don't want you to start giving, just like I know you more than a diplomat. You want to start fixing it up and up. Let Reverend come back and we try to see how we can go deeper into this conversation, please.
Exactly.
Yeah. Reverend actually hit a point of interest of mine. And revolutionizing the church, that's one of the aspects, looking at the structure of the church. It's a long-time call that I've actually been making, but not loudly. And, you know, when he said it, it jives directly with my interest. So, you know, Jerry, you are right. We want to bring Reverend back exclusively. We have here alone on the show, and we will be able to discuss in details what he thoughts are, the way he thinks we should proceed with this conversation as an important post-election discussion. But let me just say here, Jerome, from the outset, Jerome, you hit a very good point. You made a very good point when you talk about fairness versus deception. That was a very good point you made. Fairness versus deception. Very, very important. When you talk about the circle of our pastors being characterized, you know, by fairness and deception, and you try to discuss, it was just, you know, not detailed, but I would like you to talk about it in the context of the election, how deception is killing the commitments that pastors make to each other. There are even some people considering them to even be more than the laities. So the question is, people who are major stakeholders like you, Jerome, like Father Golayan and other people who are heading structures of the church. I know, Jerome, you headed the youth organization before. You are an important stakeholder. Are you guys calling out these people? Are we calling out these people? Is the laity doing much? Probably this is a question for all of us. Is the laity doing much? Are we looking at James? And James wants to be bishop and say, hey, James, you can't be bishop. And we don't remain quiet and silent about that. You can be bishop because of XYZ. Should we begin to do that, to call out people based on their qualifications for these important sacred roles, you know, in our church? James.
Thank you, Josiah, for the question. Again, like Father Golion said, many a times, you know, we are in a society. If you try to tell people the truth, they take you to be enemy, right? So at the end of the day, people stay in their comfort zone. They don't want to come out to say, you tell people, right now you notice this election, you have a lot of people just on the fence. When you talk to them and say, no, I know who I'm supporting, I will go and secretly do cast my vote for the person I want, because they don't want to have a long list of enemyship. That's the kind of society. But we are thinking out of the box that I think people should be asked the hard questions. You are interested in the position. What are you bringing to the table? You can read all of the fine platforms, but can you interpret this platform that you are speaking of? So, like having a debate, you last time on the platform, you asked the election commission as to whether there will be a debate, because some people will say, oh, I think I have a master, so I should go to the process and then I'll be qualified by my master. But how do you interpret what you want to do? By what means you want to do it? So I mean, I tend to agree with you with revolutionizing the church, moving from this old way of doing things to a new way of doing things, because the world is changing. Like, I want to disagree with my national president, who said that it's difficult that people can generate money in the rural areas. When our district youth president, it will interest you that a parish in the southeast, most of the projects are KP, especially with the cabins. The young people raise their money here. Most of the money. So the money, we have the money in the budgets, but people have that perception that Reverend Yakbaso said, the central office is just there to collect money and eat, and collect money and eat. But with the decentralization of what we are getting into, People will take complete ownership. There are districts now building cabins, youth building cabins at Kenkepi. Wole Kobe, Elijah's in our team, they visited Liberia. So we had the opportunity that they help us with something around 6,000, but right now we have around 7 cabins at KP, and you have district youth building their own cabins. So our church is still heavily laying on international support or foreign support. So that's why I want to disagree with you that though we are a national church, structure wise we are making a self decision, but when it comes to financial support, we are heavily leaning on foreign partner support. There where our church is. Now that we don't have money. Another instance is a church in the Simple River District, Bapolu. Way in Monaco, I don't know if you've been there. That church bought a vehicle that cost $10,000. Can you believe that?
Well, I want to clap
raise
for
the money. They raise the money on their own.
Well, clap for that.
They bought a car on their own.
They raise the money.
They bought a car. They bought a car on their own. I'm telling you. But most of the churches here, don't even pay that.
Jerome.
Yeah.
Please answer Josiah. I want you to answer that key question before you flip on. Did they raise the money on their own?
They raise the money right there.
Thank you.
They raise the money right there in the Simple River District.
Thank you, my president.
They raise the money right there. And most of they carry on self-initiated. So until people can graduate from that stage where we are singing the song, we are singing self-sustainability, there are some hard decisions that needs to be taken. People come with a lot of, and I can tell you, the position of bishop, the next election, we're going to have more candidates. We're going to have more candidates. And then because you have, and right now what we are even pushing for is to reduce the age of a bishop. Because you have some of our young brothers who are going to seminary, some of them having 2-3 masters. We're not willing to reach 50 years before they can contest.
I see that Reverend has particular interest in that.
Yeah, God bless you, Jerome. God bless you.
That's another revolutionary. That's another revolutionary thinking, and Jerome is getting support from Reverend Yapazwo because they think together, they think alike, and birds of the same feather flock together.
Yapazwo have been the pastor of Jerome. Jerome dare not to leave from the pathway of Reverend Yapazwo. So if you follow the conversation, that's why now I decided to put them up. So it shouldn't seem like the both of them are on one side. So I decided to split them up and bring the president in between. The main president is in between.
Yeah.
And Jerome should know that. And Jerome should know that he was admitted to the men's fellowship through Father Goliath. So you gotta follow that too now. Okay.
In all of this, Jerome disagree with Father Goliath of the difficulty or impossibility of decentralizing the church at this point. And I think it's quite important for us to allow Father Goliath to speak to that.
Absolutely.
So can I conclude? Can I conclude?
Father Goliath,
30 seconds.
Father Goliath, while you concluding? Father Goliath, while you concluding, just include into your conclusion the whole blame game of saying the pastor and not the laity. Tell us why not the laities. I think the laity has a part to play, but everybody here shifting the blame on the pastor. The pastor could heavily be blamed, but what are you, the laity? What's your own responsibility? You can wrap everything up in 30 seconds.
No. 1 second. Right. Jerome was in flight, so Jerome will conclude.
I needed to conclude.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So thank you, Willie. So to conclude from my end, I would say in order to settle the issue of election tension in our church, we should be able to preach or canvas messages that tend to promote our candidate and bringing division among the pastors and the laities. Because the sin circular politics is what we are bringing to the church. People carry lies with people's names. that the person did this, the person did that without proof. And then I think it's not healthy for our church. And another one is our church should start thinking in the direction we are building human resource capacity, but then when the people come, you're not send me as a young man, I go get a 2-3 master, I come back, and then you send me to one parish where they'll pay me 10 bag of coal or 12 dozen of crawfish. I would definitely leave that job, that preaching job, and then look for one NGO job that I can do that would help to sustain my family. Certainly. So our church,
But Jerry,
yeah,
Jerry,
our
you are
church.
called by God now. You are called by
It
God.
means that Jeru is not going to seminary anytime soon.
That our church.
No, Father,
No, gentlemen, let's be serious. I beg. Let's be serious.
Let me conclude.
Let's be serious. I beg you.
Okay,
Yeah,
Jeru, wrap up your 30 seconds, please.
Yeah, so please, definitely, I will find my way. So our church needs to find means that when you empower our people, educationally, people coming with basic knowledge, there be means that they can give back to the church. There should be places that we can be able to accommodate them. So with that, I think we will reduce some of the tension because some people they just have interest in teaching. They don't want to become bishop or means because that means it's not there. So they find themselves, they say, the only way I can be on top there is to become a bishop of the church. So we need to think in that direction. So finally, my wife would love to appear on the show. She followed the show tonight,
Sure.
especially with the decentralization, having a regional bishop. She want to make some contribution in that direction from her perspective from the Bavarian side.
Okay.
So she want to, because they also have the same. They got regional bishop, and then they do have a overall bishop for the church. So she'll let us share her experience and how is it working also. Thank you.
But before Father Golayan can come in, please, Brother Jala, we want to say thank you for the points you made today, and then to your wife, we're going to coordinate with you. This platform, I know she's listening. Inform her that the My Lutheran Connection platform is for every Lutheran, like we said from the very onset. It's for every Lutheran. So we're going to invite her if she wants a special section to even give us information from the Bavaria, a church standpoint. We are going to work with her. We're going to invite her. If she want to come specifically on the decentralization along with our Reverend, we're going to bring both of them together because we know, that's a great idea. So we are going to work with you. We're going to work with her, and we're going to make sure she's going to appear on the show. I want to say thank you very much.
So one caveat. Is the issue of politics. She's not allowed to be to
No. We're not discussing politics.
Yeah.
We're not discussing politics.
Yeah.
No.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
All right.
Father, it's all yours, and you have 2 minutes.
2 minutes, yeah.
Father, I'm currently praying that the internet will be stable.
so you can exhaust it 2 minutes. Yeah.
Exactly.
Idea of having, I'm not against the idea of having maybe regional, or sub bishops. I quite agree, but I just look at it from the point that we need to be able to put people in a position that our various districts or regions that will be created have to be prepared so that we don't go back to say, oh, because this group is falling apart or is failing, we need to go back to the old thing. So I mean, like they are saying, they're speaking from experience. I went to St. Paul. Yes, I saw. We did a workshop, our leadership workshop in August, and we encouraged them to begin to do some, investment in the soil, and they heavily embrace that. So those are things that I know that when they begin to do, they'll become very viable, and those are things that we accept. For us, because like me, I believe in investment, so maybe I'm an accountant, and with the kind of idea I got, so I don't like to be begging every time. I want us to do something substantial. So when you talk about the blame game, basically, I mean, I say we blame the pastors, and I say that I beg them, but I'm not afraid of that, that they are responsible. Because when it comes to giving us who should be voted for, the pastors are the ones that should decide. Even if they go to their pastoral fellowship and say, look, you is an ex, we're not supporting you. They come back to their local congregation and say, hey, my friend, we're not supporting this person because of this. You can go up and down. Like you said, 4 years back, we're in Phoebe when we were electing Bishop when we elected Bishop Sayankulu for the second time. All right. The new scheme, if I will all embrace, oh yeah, the only one Bishop, man, the whole thing finish. We just going to it's just and by program what you call it, white ballot, and the man takes it. When we got there, the ground got muddy, the play was serious, tense. The whole thing changed. So we said, why would somebody preaching to us and telling us to be honest, telling us to be trustworthy, and you this late day you come back, and the very pastors who sat in that place and voted at Bishop Sanklo to just go unopposed, were the ones supporting, the other pastor. They that day they stood outside. I would not call him, but people that were in Phoebe, so people, pastors knocked their chest. I told some of them, excuse me, were drunk because the way they were talking. I mean, they defame the current bishop. They say a lot of things. I look at her, man. I was not looking at your face now, I was looking at your nose. Sorry for that, but I was looking at your nose. Yes, I was looking at your nose. I said, what? This guy can be serious to say this. But well, today he walking around. I see Bishop, like you talking about deception. He walking around. I see Bishop and he rubbing his chest and rubbing his shoulder. I say, look at this one. I mean, you don't do that. You don't do that. It will come and will say, look, it's Joker that we want, and we mean it. We just will support Joker. So the blame I'm shifting on them is that in there they are not sincere with themselves. Because you tell Goliath, you can't be a bishop. Forget it for this time, just forget it. So that it will see two tough prices there. You see Joker and then you see Tableau. It's okay, these two guys. Let's take them to the pool. And they come to us. We have, the race is reduced greatly. But this is not the case. So that's why it's even blaming them. But for us as laities, what we have done, like today I was saying, at the Morel district convention, I would have thought that they would have invited these 5 or 7 candidates, to come, because even though the election commission has not qualified them, they are running campaign anyway. So whether they qualify them or not, let them come and start giving out their platform now. We'll have the opportunities so that we are able to question them. And even though I would not walk to this one and say, you're not qualified, my man, just forget it. For reprisal, for fear of reprisal, in the African society, we will go in Liberia, especially. Or I would do from that presentation that he or she will make, I would then sit and question. The way I will question, the way the answers will come. In Apple, we can just decide, say, gentlemen and ladies, if you got ear, you should hear. Maybe we can start talking the side now. But yes, so for us as men, we go to convention March 24 to 27. We are already playing 1 hour for them. We want to get in 10 minutes each. That you will come, present your platform, like Jerome was saying. You interpret it because I don't know what's in your mind. But if you tell me I'm coming, I want to know what even I'm coming and how do you come. So we'll take it from that point, and then we'll ask you a question. When you answer us satisfactory, then I can answer, gentlemen, that they won't leave, let's know. Well, let's do this. And that's just the way to go. I think. So for us, if we are shifting the blame on them, and the pastor themselves will tell you, yeah, we are at fault. I've talked with several and they say, but men are true. We have fought because they just don't make up their mind. I don't know whether they helpless or they feel that if you tell me the truth, I'll feel bad. But again, Jesus Christ, I tell people, Jesus Christ was somebody or is somebody during a helpless sojourn. Not take side with people when you do say you are a hypocrite. Why did you do this? You are a hypocrite. When they told him, yeah, Why are your disciples now fasting? He said, my friend, they both can't be with the bridegroom and be fasting. When I'm taking away from them, they will fast. The times like, you hypocrite, don't you know that you break the law every time? When he told that one, that big people, you are not talking to foolish people. You are talking to authority. And that by that, people should come to themselves. So if at that level, these people can decide what they want to do and say, "Oh, my man, will throw away behind 1% and 2%." Fine. But it will come out, they are the variable that will sit there, and then all of these things happen. They don't oppose anything, they don't raise any qualm. They come back now and begin to talk. So I don't say, my friend, don't even waste my time. I'm not going to listen. I just walk. Yeah, some people say, with me, we'll talk. I would say yes, but I mean, you're talking our own different thing,
Right,
you know.
right.
So I think what we can do for us is to begin to invite them to these occasions, these
Okay.
programs that we have. They will come, and when they speak, they tell after cross examination that most of the time we'll make our mind, because
Th- th-
if I just walk, yeah.
thank you, thank you very, very much, Father Golayan. The issue of the Lutheran Church is very, very interesting and very important to every one of us. But time is our enemy.
I
We
tell
want to
you,
say thank you very, very much again for joining us. Despite the difficulties when it comes to internet connectivity, but you always, when we invite you, you are always willing to join us. We're
thank
gonna
you.
give just a minute for benediction from our Reverend, because from the
He
Reverend
prays
we
and
don't take
strong.
from the Reverend we don't take conclusion. We just take the benediction. Just a minute from the
Amen.
from the Reverend for benediction.
Amen.
Oh yeah,
But
you know,
wait before Reverend comes in, because when he gives the benediction, then amen. Can you just some of
Okay,
our viewers, and especially
okay,
from the leeward part, to just recognize them, so
yeah.
that at least
absolutely.
they know that we.
Yeah. So we're gonna highlight a couple of our viewers this evening. Our first person, actually, he's not from the Leeward part, but he actually struck a point. I want to share this quickly. He said that the laity accused the pastors and of the problem in the LCR. He agreed. He said they are proving just that he is a pastor also, and he said you can see the number of bishopric and everything. So I just wanted to highlight this. I want to recognize our Reverend Kokolo. Thank you for tuning in, Reverend Moses. Dennis from Pennsylvania, my own brother, my junior brother Emmanuel Cowboy. He's all the way there in Cocoya, Bon County in Cocoya. Um, our sister Hawa Kuyate, she's all the way there in Painesville. Brother Emmanuel, can you imagine? Emmanuel is watching. Emmanuel Weeder is watching us from Grand Cape County. Want to say thank you very much. And also we have brother Douglas Pillow, watching us from Sweden. Watching us from Sweden in Europe. We want to say thank you very much. And our brother Moses Cole from Painesville, brother Nana Nushen, from the Dupo Road area. Um, uh, um, Sister Sue, we want to say thank you very much for tuning in. Brother Cole, yes, we mentioned you. And also Sister Orita Flomo from Margibi Kakata. Um, Brother Jared Dolo from Bon County, from Bilimu Town, Panta, by District, Bon County. We want to say thank you very much for tuning in. And also our brother Lawrence, our sister Annie Cooney, our brother Philip McKay. I mean, the list is just going on. We want to say thank you very, very much for tuning in. And we want to say again that please, as you tune in, please share the next time. As you tune in, even after the broadcast, you can please share with other people so that they can follow this platform. Yes, we want to say thank you very, very much. We have a question here, but we're going to keep that actually for next time because we don't have much time. It's actually directed to Reverend Yakpazo. Um, I don't know if we should share with Reverend Yakpazo, but Reverend Yakpazo, you can just see the question. But when we invite you, you can throw light on this question.
All right, yeah.
Yeah.
The
When we
process.
invite you, you can throw light on the question.
Yeah.
Okay.
You see, look,
The
I
pastor
tell
to
you,
pastor. The pastor
Yeah,
to pastor.
pastor, exactly. So
but you see, look, the thing about it is that the revolution just need to be launched. You already got people who just want to know what it would take, and they are willing to be a part of the process, the initiative. So, yeah, Pastor Dennis, the next time I'm here, if these very intelligent, brilliant guys invite me back here, because maybe they will say, Pastor Yagwazi was here, you were talking too much, so we're not going to bring him back. So, but the next time I'm going to show you to bring me back here, yeah, we'll talk about it. And there are still a lot more good things in store that we can talk about for the development of our church. And Father Goliath, good to meet you. I just got to know from this platform that you're from my home church. And the people from my home church, I don't joke with them. Yeah. Yeah. Jerome, good to see you.
Yeah, brother.
Yeah, good to see you. I'll bring in your communion when I arrive at the airport, but unfortunately, you may not receive some. But you want to see the bottle and see the bread.
I'm ready. I'm ready for the benediction. I'm ready for the benediction.
Receive the benediction. The Lord bless you. The Lord keep you. The Lord make his face shine upon each and every one of you and be gracious unto you. In the name of one God, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Amen.
Good
Amen.
to
Amen.
have all of you. Good to see you.
Amen.
Yeah.
And Reverend, we want to say thank you again very much for joining us. Again, to like we said to everyone, including you, this is the platform for everyone. So, and the idea that you just talked about, and you said there are other people who are interested from my Lutheran connection, anything that will bring positive vibe, anything that will build up the image of our church, anything that will move our church forward in a positive manner, my Lutheran Connection Live TV will continue to work along with you. So if we're going to have series of those conversations here, we are standing ready to work along with you in that light.
Thank you.
So from our end, we want to say our brother there in Freetown, Sierra Leone, we call him our ambassador. He's in Freetown, Sierra Leone. And also our brother in the very cool state of Connecticut, Brother Josiah Jokai, and I'm here in Atlanta, Georgia. I want to say thank you all very much for tuning in, and we say God bless you. We ask you to please tune in next time. Tune in. It's my Lutheran Connection on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. Until then, we say God bless you all.